Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive where we, take a deep dive into all sorts of fascinating topics. And today we're tackling content creation. I mean, who isn't thinking about becoming a content creator these days, right?
Definitely a hot topic, that's for sure.
But let's be real for a second. It can feel a little overwhelming. Like, where do you even start?
Right. There's just so much information out there, and everyone's telling you to do different things.
Exactly. So that's what we're here for. We've been sifting through a ton of resources like articles, videos, interviews with successful creators, all that good stuff, to try and distill the key insights, the real gems that can actually help you on your content creation journey.
Yeah, and honestly, some of the stuff we found was pretty surprising.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Okay, so you know how everyone's always talking about the latest tech, the newest platforms, like you have to be on the cutting edge? Well, a lot of the experts we looked at actually pushed back on that.
Really?
Yeah, they said it's less about chasing trends and more about finding your own unique groove, your niche,
I like that. Finding your groove.
And building a sustainable strategy, something that you can actually stick with long term.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do you actually go about finding your niche? I mean, there are a million things you could create content about, right?
Yeah, and that's where a lot of people get stuck. But one thing that kept popping up in our research was this idea of aligning your passion with your expertise.
Passion and expertise.
It's like finding that sweet spot where you're genuinely excited about what you're creating, but you also have the knowledge and skills to offer real value to your audience.
Right. You don't just want to be another face in the crowd. You want to stand out, offer something unique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they actually had this really cool exercise in one of the articles we read.
What was it?
They said, take out a piece of paper and make 2 lists.
2 lists, okay.
One list is for everything you're passionate about, like things that just light you up inside.
Okay, got it.
And the other list is for your skills, things you're good at, things you know a lot about. Then you look for the overlap between those 2 lists.
The intersection, the sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where your niche might be hiding.
Oh, I like that. So it's not just about what you love, it's also about what you can bring to the table.
Right, and that's how you create content that truly resonates with people.
So I'm passionate about underwater basket weaving.
Yeah.
But I have 0 skills in that area.
Well, maybe start with something you're already good at and see if you can find a way to tie in your passion for underwater basket weaving somehow.
Okay, I can see how that would work. But hold on a sec.
Right.
What if I'm super passionate about something, but nobody else is? Like, what if I'm the only one who finds it interesting?
That's a great point. And a lot of people overlook this part.
Yeah.
You have to validate your niche.
Validate it.
Yeah, you got to make sure there's an actual audience out there.
People who are interested in what you have to say.
Exactly. You don't want to be creating content for an audience of one, right?
Yeah, really not. That sounds lonely.
So how do you validate your niche?
I'm all ears.
Well, luckily there are tools for that.
Tools? Tell me more.
One of the things the experts recommended was Google Trends.
Oh yeah, Google Trends.
It's a free tool that shows you how often people are searching for certain keywords.
So you can see if people are actually interested in your topic.
Right, and you can also see how interest has changed over time. So is it a growing niche or is it fading away?
That's really helpful. Any other tools?
Yep, they also mentioned social media hashtag analysis.
Hashtags, yeah, those are important.
It's a way to see what people are talking about on different platforms, like how many people are using certain hashtags related to your niche.
So you can gauge the level of interest and engagement.
Exactly. And you can also get a sense of the competition. Like, are there already a ton of creators making content in your niche?
That's super valuable information. Okay, so let's say I've done my research, I found my niche, I validated it, and there's an audience out there just waiting for my amazing content. Now what?
Well, now comes the fun part. Choosing your platform.
Oh yeah, platforms. That's another thing that can feel totally overwhelming.
Right. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, blogging, podcasting. It's like, where do you even start?
And do you have to be on all of them?
The experts we talked to actually said that's a big mistake.
Really? Why?
Because trying to be everywhere at once is a recipe for burnout.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
And it can lead to inconsistent content, which is the kiss of death.
So focus on 1 or 2 platforms.
Exactly. Pick the ones that align best with your strengths.
Like, if I'm a visual person, maybe YouTube or Instagram are better choices than, say, podcasting.
Right. Or if you love to write, maybe blogging is your jam.
And, they said something that really resonated with me. They said, master one platform before you move on to the next. Don't try to do everything at once.
Yeah, that's key. It's like learn to walk before you try to run a marathon.
Makes total sense. Okay, so let's dive into some of the platforms. What are the pros and cons of each one?
All right, well, YouTube is obviously the king of video content.
Yeah, everybody's on YouTube.
And it's great for longer form content.
Like in-depth tutorials, documentaries, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's a platform that really rewards creators who can tell a compelling story.
So if you're a natural storyteller and you love visuals, YouTube might be your best bet.
But it's also a very competitive platform.
Oh yeah, there are a ton of creators on YouTube.
So you really need to stand out from the crowd.
All right, what about Instagram?
Well, Instagram is all about visuals too.
But it's more focused on photos and shorter videos.
Right, it's more about capturing moments, sharing your aesthetic.
And building a personal brand.
Exactly, and it's a great platform for connecting with brands and potential sponsors.
Oh, sponsorships. That's something we'll have to talk about later.
But you know, Instagram is also very curated.
Everything's perfect and polished.
So you have to be mindful of that when you're creating content.
Don't get too caught up in trying to be perfect.
Right, just be yourself, share your authentic self.
Okay, what about TikTok? That seems to be all the rage these days.
TikTok is all about short-form, entertaining video content.
It's like the Wild West of social media.
Yeah, anything goes on TikTok.
You can dance, sing, tell jokes, share life hacks, whatever you want.
And it's a great platform for going viral.
You can reach a huge audience really quickly.
But it's also very trend-driven.
So you have to be on top of the latest trends.
And you have to be comfortable with putting yourself out there.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
All right, what about blogging?
Blogging is a great option if you love to write.
And you want to share your thoughts and ideas in a more long-form way.
Exactly. You can build a website, create your own blog, and share whatever you're passionate about.
It's a great way to build a following and establish yourself as an expert in your niche.
And you can also monetize your blog through advertising, affiliate marketing, and selling your own products.
That's good to know. And last but not least, podcasting.
Podcasting is booming right now.
Everyone's got a podcast.
It's a great way to connect with your audience on a more personal level.
It's like having a conversation with them.
And you can cover a wide range of topics.
From interviews to storytelling to educational content.
And the barrier to entry is pretty low.
You don't need a fancy studio or expensive equipment to get started. So there you have it. A quick overview of the most popular content creation platforms.
And remember, the best platform for you depends on your goals, your strengths, and your target audience.
Right, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. So you've chosen your platform, now what?
Well, now it's time to start creating amazing content.
That's where a lot of people get stuck.
They're like, what do I create? How do I make it good?
And how do I make it stand out from the crowd?
All valid questions.
So let's break it down.
What are the key ingredients for creating high-quality content?
What are the secrets?
All right. Well, the experts we spoke to had a lot to say about this, and one thing they all agreed on was the importance of planning.
Planning.
Yeah, you can't just wing it.
You need a strategy.
Think of it like building a house.
Okay.
You wouldn't start construction without a blueprint, right?
No, that'd be chaos.
A content calendar is your blueprint.
A content calendar, got it.
It helps you map out your topics, stay organized, and most importantly, stay consistent.
Consistency. That's another thing we hear a lot about.
It's key for building an audience and keeping them engaged.
So a content calendar is like my secret weapon.
It can be. It helps you avoid staring at a blank screen wondering what to create next.
Ugh, I hate that feeling. Okay, so I've got my content calendar. What else do I need?
Well, you also need to invest in some decent equipment.
Equipment. Like what?
A good camera, a microphone, some lighting.
Oh no, I thought I could just use my phone.
You can for starting out, but if you want to take your content to the next level, you need to invest in some better gear.
But I don't have a lot of money.
That's okay. There are plenty of affordable options out there. You don't need to break the bank.
Okay, that's good to know. What about editing? I'm not very good at that.
Don't worry, editing is a skill you can learn.
There are tons of resources available online.
And you don't need to be a professional editor to create engaging content.
Just focus on the basics.
Cut out the fluff, add some music, make it look nice.
And remember, it's better to get your content out there
than to get bogged down in the pursuit of perfection.
Right. Done is better than perfect. So I've got my niche, my platform, my content calendar, my equipment, my basic editing skills. I'm ready to go, right?
Almost. There's one more crucial ingredient.
What's that?
Consistency.
Consistency again.
Yep, it's that important.
Why is it so important?
Because it shows your audience that you're serious about what you're doing, that you're committed to showing up for them. and that they can rely on you for great content on a regular basis.
So how do I stay consistent? I mean, life gets in the way, things happen.
I know, it's not always easy, but the experts had some great tips for staying on track.
Like what?
Well, one thing they recommended was setting a realistic schedule.
A schedule, okay.
Don't try to do too much too soon.
Start with something you can actually stick to.
Maybe it's posting once a week or twice a week, whatever works for you.
But make it a habit.
Right, consistency is all about building habits.
Any other tips?
Yeah, they also recommended batch creation.
Batch creation. What's that?
It's basically dedicating specific blocks of time to creating multiple pieces of content at once.
So instead of creating one piece of content every day, I could create a week's worth of content in one go.
Exactly. That way you're not constantly scrambling to create something new.
And you can be more strategic with your time.
It's a game changer, trust me.
Okay, I'm sold. Batch creation it is. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Finding your niche, choosing your platform, creating high quality content, staying consistent. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's all essential for success in the world of content creation.
And you know what? It's actually pretty exciting.
It is. There's so much potential out there.
And the best part is, anyone can do it.
That's the beauty of content creation. It's accessible to everyone.
So what are you waiting for? Go out there and create something amazing.
The world is waiting to hear your voice.
Okay, so we just talked about consistency, right? Like how important it is to show up for your audience on a regular basis.
Right, but it's not always easy.
Especially when you're juggling a million other things.
Life gets in the way, inspiration comes and goes.
Exactly. So how do you actually make consistency happen?
Well, one thing that really stood out in the research was this idea of setting realistic expectations.
Realistic expectations.
Like, don't try to be Superman right out of the gate.
Don't try to do too much too soon.
Exactly. Set a schedule that you can actually stick to.
Like maybe posting once a week is more manageable than trying to post every day.
Right. And once you get into a groove with that, then you can always ramp it up if you want.
But starting small is key.
It's like training for a marathon, you know?
You wouldn't try to run 26 miles on your first day.
You'd build up to it gradually.
I love that analogy. So set a realistic schedule. Got it. What else can help with consistency?
Well, another thing they talked about was batch creation.
Batch creation.
It sounds kind of boring.
But it's actually super helpful. Basically, it's about dedicating specific blocks of time to creating multiple pieces of content at once.
So instead of trying to film, edit, and post every single day, you might set aside a whole day to film 3 videos.
Then another day for editing.
And then you can schedule them to go live throughout the week.
Oh, I see. So it's like a content creation assembly line.
Yeah, kind of. It's all about maximizing your time and effort.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for me, like when I'm in the creative zone, I can crank out a lot of stuff.
But then there are other days when I'm just not feeling it.
Exactly. And that's where batch creation can be a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've already got content ready to go.
Even on those days when you're feeling less inspired.
Right. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And speaking of maximizing your efforts, the research also talked a lot about repurposing content.
Oh yeah, repurposing is genius.
It's like getting multiple outfits out of one amazing piece of fabric.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
So let's say you create a really killer YouTube video. You can take snippets of that video and turn them into Instagram posts or TikTok videos.
You could even pull out the key points and write a blog post.
Exactly. It's all about stretching your content as far as it can go.
And reaching different audiences on different platforms.
That's a win-win.
So we found our niche. We're creating amazing content. We're staying consistent. We're repurposing like pros. What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Well, now comes the part that a lot of creators struggle with.
Building an audience.
Yeah, getting people to actually see and engage with your content.
That can feel really daunting, especially at the beginning.
It's like shouting into the void sometimes.
But luckily, the experts had some great advice on how to cut through the noise.
One thing they emphasized was authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah, being genuine, being yourself.
Not trying to be someone you're not.
Exactly. In a world where everyone's trying to be perfect and polished, authenticity is a breath of fresh air.
That's what makes you stand out.
And it's what helps you connect with your audience on a deeper level.
Right. People can spot a fake a mile away.
They can smell it.
So be yourself, let your personality shine through.
That's the best way to attract an audience that truly vibes with you.
And once you start building an audience, it's super important to engage with them.
Don't just broadcast your content into the void.
Respond to comments, ask questions, start conversations.
Build a community around your content.
It's like the difference between giving a lecture and having a conversation.
Exactly. People are more likely to stick around if they feel seen and heard.
Okay, authenticity and engagement, got it. What about like practical strategies for getting your content in front of more people?
The experts had some tips on that too.
Like what?
Well, they talked a lot about SEO.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Yeah, it's basically about making sure your content shows up in search results.
So when people search for something related to your niche, your content pops up.
Right, there's a whole science to it. But there are some basic things you can do, like using relevant keywords in your titles and descriptions.
Makes sense. What about hashtags?
Hashtags are super important too.
Especially on platforms like Instagram and TikTok.
They're like little signposts that help people find your content.
So use relevant hashtags,
Yep.
but don't go overboard.
Right, a handful of well-chosen hashtags is better than a whole wall of them.
And you know what else they recommended?
Collaboration.
Oh yeah, collaboration is huge.
Partnering with other creators in your niche
It's a great way to cross-promote each other's content.
and reach a wider audience.
Plus, it's fun to work with other creative people.
It can spark new ideas and inspiration.
And last but not least, the experts stressed the importance of staying up to date on trends,
Trends are constantly changing,
especially in the online world.
so you got to keep your finger on the pulse.
See what's happening, what people are talking about.
What new platforms are emerging?
It's all about being adaptable and evolving. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from finding your niche to creating content to building an audience.
It's a lot, but it's all part of the exciting journey of content creation.
And you know what? It's worth it.
It is. Because when you find your voice and you start connecting with people who resonate with what you're creating,
It's an amazing feeling.
it's like magic.
Okay, so we've talked about finding your niche, crafting awesome content, building that loyal audience, and staying consistent. But let's be real, a lot of you out there are probably wondering about the money, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big one, right? How to actually turn your passion into profit.
Exactly. So let's dive into that.
Yeah.
What are the different ways content creators can actually, make money from their work?
Well, the good news is there are more options than ever before. And the sources we've looked at really emphasize diversifying those income streams.
Not putting all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Because if you're relying solely on one way to make money and something changes, well, you could be in trouble. Like, let's say your whole income depends on ad revenue, and then the platform changes its algorithm.
Oof, yeah, that would hurt.
Right. Having multiple income streams just makes everything more stable and allows you to adapt more easily.
Okay, that's smart. So let's break down some of those income streams. The most common one we hear about is probably ad revenue, right?
Yeah, that's the classic one. YouTube, blogs, even some social media platforms have ways to earn money through ads. Basically, you get paid based on how many people see or interact with those ads on your content.
Seems straightforward enough. But I've heard it's not as simple as just racking up views anymore.
You're right, it's not just about views. You need actual engagement, people actually watching those ads.
So you need a truly engaged audience.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. Advertisers want to see that your audience is genuinely interested, not just clicking through.
Makes sense. Okay, what about sponsorships?
Sponsorships can be great, especially as you grow your audience and influence. Basically, brands pay you to promote their stuff to your followers.
So it's about finding brands that align with your content.
That's a huge part of it, for sure. You want to be selective. The source is really stressed choosing sponsorships that match your values and your audience's interests.
I can see why. Like, would you recommend a product you didn't actually use or like yourself?
Definitely not. You got to be authentic, right? And you don't want to break that trust with your audience.
Speaking of recommendations, what about affiliate marketing?
Affiliate marketing. It's a favorite for passive income. Basically, you recommend products or services you genuinely love and provide those special affiliate links. If someone buys through your link, you get a commission.
Like a little thank you for the referral?
Exactly. A way to earn while sharing things you genuinely think are valuable.
So you get to share cool stuff.
Yeah.
A&D potentially earn some money? That's a win-win. But what if you want even more control over what you're offering?
That's where creating and selling your own products comes in.
That sounds interesting. What kind of products?
It could be anything. Physical merch, like t-shirts with your logo, mugs with your catchphrase, fun stuff. Or digital products, ebooks, online courses, templates, you name it, even coaching or consulting services.
So basically packaging your knowledge and expertise into something people can buy.
Exactly. It's a way to monetize what you know and offer even more value to your audience.
Wow, the possibilities are endless.
They really are. Oh, and we can't forget crowdfunding and memberships. Platforms like Patreon are huge these days.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Like a way for fans to directly support your work.
Yep. It lets your most loyal followers contribute directly, and in return, you can offer exclusive perks like behind-the-scenes content, early access, even direct interactions. It's great for building community.
So we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive into content creation. From finding that perfect niche to actually turning your passion into a career.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about, but also incredibly exciting.
Absolutely. If there's one takeaway, it's that you don't have to figure everything out right away.
Right. The best way to learn is by doing. Just start creating, try things out, find what works for you.
And most importantly, have fun.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into content creation. Hopefully you're leaving feeling inspired and ready to share your unique voice with the world.